With a new entry into the Beetlejuice world coming this fall, what are some things that you should have noticed in the trailer for the upcoming sequel? From a monumental character funeral to returning fan favorites and more, it's time to break this trailer down together. So although the movie introduces a handful of new names and characters, and we shall get to those in a moment, it also brings back the beloved monsters from the first installment, making it a sequel that everybody's going to enjoy. Hopefully. One of these cute monsters that we're getting back is the shrunken head guy. Referred to as Harry the Hunter in the movie, the Beetlejuice trailer shows him within a teensy sequence. If you didn't know, he was first introduced to the audience in Beetlejuice, the original movie, when he's just chilling in the waiting room of the Netherworld. It seems like he died by having his head shrunk, suggestively by the witch doctor. While not a character with a lot of depth, he did have an action figure in the Kenner toy line known as Harry the Haunted Hunter. Try saying that 5 times fast. His iconic shrunken head is concealed beneath a larger removable head that resembles that of a late 19th century big game hunter wearing an Australian-style hunting hat with an arrow right through it. He comes with a blunderbuss that his head or others from the line can be mounted on, or the included Beetlejuice disguised as a beetle. Up to you. So here's to hoping we get a lot of him in the sequel. And then, towards the end of the trailer, we get to see the famous Tim Burton sandworm. Yep, the black and white sandworm is back. But most importantly, it's still as fresh as it was in the first movie. Seems like Tim Burton hasn't really gone for any crazy, outlandish CGI this time. We get those old and trusted and tried and true, unique practical effects. So if you're not familiar with the adorable sandworm, when Adam and Barbara Maitland die in the first movie, Adam hears a strange roaring noise and sees this weird thing sticking out of the sand, and Barbara's like, we're going back in our old home for safety. And then Barbara walks out that door, falls down into the sand, and she gets lost. When she and Adam eventually find each other, then you hear some growling, and then pop, sandworm ready to eat them. Barbara bops it, causing it to shake its head for a moment, and then it's like, nope, I'm still hungry. And then Adam and Barbara are like, yeah, we're getting out of here. Now, the worm has a couple more appearances. At one point, Beetlejuice sends Barbara back into the realm of the sandworms, and Barbara's kind of ticked, but she rides a sandworm back into the house, causing it to crash through the ceiling and swallow Beetlejuice. Then she jumps off of it and crashes to the floor. And I love the sandworms. Like, while they don't speak, there's like a very interesting cartoonish reaction that they give when they're bopped. They seem to have like a personality similar to a dog, and I know I just can't wait to see the silly goofy worm back in the sequel. Sidebar, with a lot happening in the trailer, did anybody notice Dead Santa? Like, it's not just that. He was chilling in the Netherworld waiting room, along with what seems to be a circus stuntman, who died because he couldn't get out of the glass cube. We like the nod to Houdini. But also, Catherine O'Hara's character, the living stepmother of Winona Ryder's character, Delia. She's just chilling between Dead Santa and the circus performer. Very curious. While I don't feel like saying the name Beetlejuice more than twice in a row for safety, did anybody notice how the title of said movie is an Easter egg in and of itself? So, if you haven't figured it out yet, don't worry, that's what I'm here for. So, the second movie, it's just Beetlejuice. I ain't seen it a third time. It could have been Beetlejuice 2, it could have been Beetlejuice Electric Boogaloo, but no. And also, like, if you've watched the first movie, or the trailer, and you just know, if you're gonna summon Beetlejuice, you gotta say the name 3 times. So this seemingly hints at like maybe we're prepping for like a third movie that'll come right after the second, meaning we might get a Beetlejuice bug juice. Or it could just be a tantalizing play on not wanting to say the word itself 3 times in a row. Ergo why I fudged it there. We all know how much Hollywood loves their sequels and making a cash cow out of reliable franchises, so you shouldn't be surprised if we get an announcement of another movie in a post-credit scene of this upcoming flick. Can it just be September 6th already? Pretty please? So Beetlejuice is a lot of things in the first movie. He's a poltergeist, a troublemaker, wishes he could be a ladies' man. Oh, and he's an ex-husband, by the way. So this next Easter egg has to be one of the biggest shockers of the whole franchise. So while we did hear or infer that Beetlejuice had an ex-wife in the 1988 classic, she was finally introduced to the audience in this recently released trailer. So Dolores, who was apparently the ex-wife, she's gonna be played by the stunning Monica Bellucci. What adds more to this movie? Well, there's a lot. So the footage reiterates that this character is dead, has more of a zombified appearance similar to Beetlejuice, and is featured in the world of this afterlife. But other than that, we don't know a lot. So she's gonna be some sort of a zombified character, right? What if she's Lady Frankenstein? What if we're getting like a classic universal horror monster? Belushi's appearances throughout Beetlejuice 2's official trailer set her up as one of the film's antagonists, if not the main antagonist, with her character actively searching for the titular bioexorcist in the afterlife and seen having a confrontation with Danny DeVito's janitor ghost. Of course, the fact that Beetlejuice already has a wife who is still seeking him out kinda complicates an aspect of the original Beetlejuice movie's ending and his connection to another character. The final act of the original movie sees the titular character concocting this plan to force Lydia to marry him, because, well, he wants more freedom to roam the world of the living and the dead. So during the wedding sequence, it's like, okay, do you have a ring? And he's like, oh yeah, I've got this severed female finger with a wedding ring on it. And Lydia is rightfully grossed out, and Beetlejuice is like, she meant nothing to me, nothing at all. But like, he never elaborates on whose finger it is, and if the ring belonged to his ex-wife, a stranger, we don't know. Ultimately, the two never got through the whole like I do, the exchanging of the rings, but it's kind of unclear if the marriage would have even been legal in the afterlife given he was already married. So, this Dolores, it kind of maybe possibly finally explains a severed finger and ring, but then also if he's got this wifey, his decades-long infatuation with Lydia, it's getting a little weirder. So, if Monica Bellucci shows up in Beetlejuice 2, missing her left ring finger and the accompanying wedding ring, then it'll be clear that this little unidentified finger belonged to her. Sure, it would make sense, but then he also would have lied when he said, she meant nothing to me. Unless that was him just being, well, Beetlejuice. Dolores potentially having a missing finger would also imply a more disturbing end to that marriage, because somebody diced off the finger as a signal of separation or divorce. On the other hand, pun intended, Dolores, could appear in Beetlejuice 2 with all 10 digits on her hands, which would lead to a lot more questions related to that original wedding scene. Because if the finger and the ring don't belong to her, then did he do some grave robbing? I'm not against it, I just want to know. What would a dark and gothic movie be without a funeral? A trope is a trope after all, but this one was kinda necessary. It's a blink and you'll miss it sort of moment, especially when showing off Bern Gorman as the priest conducting said funeral. So, this has already been teased by Tim Burton. It's like, okay, the whole point of this movie is a death in the family, and just as we all would have speculated, the earthly departure in question is the head of the table, Jeffrey Jones's character, Charles Dietz, the former head of the Dietz family, and well, it makes sense why the whole family would go home for the funeral. So now we've got the Dietz family, we've got Lydia, Astrid, and Delia, and you see everybody at the cemetery. Not just that, so Astrid, which by the way, played by Jenna Ortega, incredible, and she's like, can't believe Grandpa's dead. So that's that. Jeffrey Jones's absence from the sequel is kind of understood, seeing as he's been incarcerated since like 2003. We're not going to talk about his crimes, but they're heinous, and he's never going to come back to that franchise. The headstone does depict Charles as if he's becoming a part of the Haunted Mansion universe, which is a neat little send-off for the character. In the end of the first movie, Charles seems to really accept the idea of living with ghosts. He's even reading the book called The Living and the Dead on how to deal with it, and he's sharing Adam's frustration that the book is like instructions. So it's just kind of a neat little bow and done. And finally for today, what would a good sequel be without revisiting where it all began? So what do we see in this little trailer? Astrid, she's riding her bike over the bridge where the Maitlands died in the original film. Well, it's because everybody's home. The whole Dietz family has returned to the home where Beetlejuice is hiding in the basement. Yeah, that's gonna lead to the inevitable. And then also you've got the attic, where Adam Maitland's model of the town is still kicking. Combine that with seeing Miss Shannon's School for Girls and the covered bridge looking almost exactly the same, it's just heartwarming to say the least. I know everybody's just so excited to go back to Winter River and watch this new story through Astrid's eyes. And that's it for me once again, folks. I've been Alexa, your resident Dookie Spooky Girly. See y'all next time, we love the spooky people.